I am 42 male, and I had an affair with my secretary 25 female, and had a child with her. I don't know what to do after everything blew up in my face after my wife found out. I never imagined my life would turn into this. Years ago that I'd be living in a 2-bedroom apartment with a woman who barely speaks to me. Raising a child I never planned for, and cut off from the 4 daughters who once thought I hung the moon. I'd have laughed in your face. But here I am. And the worst part? I have no one to blame but myself. My name is Daniel. I'm 42 years old. For most of my adult life, I was a stay-at-home dad too, for wonderful daughters. My ex-wife, Claire, and I had been together since we were in middle school, childhood sweethearts. We grew up, went to college together, built a family, and lived in what I believed was a solid, if sometimes boring, marriage. Claire worked as a senior systems analyst, pulling in around $150,000 a year, while I worked part-time and handled the house. School pickups, lunchboxes, homework, all of it. It wasn't a glamorous life, but it was good, comfortable. We had what felt like the perfect suburban setup, thanks largely to Claire's parents. They owned multiple homes in our area, and we rented one from them for a nominal fee. It was understood that the house would eventually go to Claire, and, by extension, to us. That arrangement made our lives a whole lot easier. We had a newer car, nice clothes, vacations every summer. I didn't feel rich, but I never wanted for anything. And yet, something in me wanted more. I guess it started when the youngest of our girls hit middle school. Suddenly, I wasn't needed as much. The house was quieter. Claire was always busy with work, and when she was home, she was tired. We were friendly, even affectionate, but the spark was gone. One missed. Feeling like I mattered outside the role of dad or Claire's husband. So when I pitched the idea of starting a small branding agency, a passion project I'd been toying with for years, Claire backed me. She even helped fund it. That was just like her, supportive to a fault. I hired a few freelancers, found a small office space downtown, and brought on a young receptionist to help manage the chaos. Her name was Tanya, 25, stunning, confident, and flirtatious from day one. At first, I thought it was harmless. I was an older guy, dressing better, running a business. It felt good to be admired. Tanya made it known she was interested. She'd laugh at my jokes a little too hard, lean in too close, text me outside office hours. I should have shut it down. I should have reminded myself that I had a wife and 4 daughters who adored me. But I didn't. I let it happen. I let her in. The affair wasn't slow. It was like a match tossed into dry grass. Passionate, messy, and doomed from the beginning. Tanya knew I was married. She didn't care. And the more I tried to resist, the more persistent she became. She made me feel wanted again, young again. For the first time in years, I felt like someone saw me as more than a chauffeur and cook. And then she got pregnant. She told me over dinner one night, her eyes full of fake concern and shaky optimism. I remember the pit in my stomach. Right away, I didn't use protection. She'd insisted she was on birth control, but deep down, I knew it had been intentional. She'd made comments about wanting to bring her family over from overseas. She thought I was rich, saw the nice car, the office, the clothes, the lifestyle, and figured she hit the jackpot. I told her I needed time to think. I didn't tell Claire right away. I was terrified, torn between blowing up my entire life or living with a secret that would eventually explode on its own. When I finally confessed, Claire was devastated. She kicked me out the same night. There were no screaming matches or thrown dishes, just cold, heart-wrenching silence. I remember her standing there in our kitchen, holding herself like she was the one who'd done something wrong. Our daughters found out within days. They wouldn't even look me in the eye. The oldest, Haley, told me I was dead to her. The youngest, Emma, cried and asked if I'd ever really loved them. I tried to explain, but how do you explain something so vile and selfish? I moved in with Tanya, hoping at least I could turn this mistake into something meaningful. She gave birth to our son Liam, and for a brief moment I thought maybe I could make this work. That maybe, just maybe, I'd found some silver lining. But it didn't take long before the truth started unraveling. Tanya wasn't in love with me. She was in love with the idea of me. The wealthy entrepreneur, the guy who'd take care of her. And her family, give her an easy life. But once she realized I wasn't loaded, that the house had never been mine, that I left the marriage with just my car and about $25,000 in savings immediately after Liam was born. She was cold, distant, always complaining. The apartment was too small. The baby cried too much. I didn't make enough money. She still worked, but resented it. Said she thought she was getting a husband who'd take care of her, not some washed-up dad with baggage. I resented her, too. I saw through the illusion. I realized I had thrown away a good marriage, a beautiful family, and a future for a fantasy. For someone who never cared about me to begin with. Someone who used me as a stepping stone and didn't even try to hide it anymore. Meanwhile, Claire moved on. She sold the house, stayed strong for the girls, and kept the life I broke glued together for their sake. I knew I'd messed up. But I didn't realize how deep the damage was until I started waking up every morning with my son in one room and silence in the other. No laughter, no chaos, no dad. Can you help me with my homework? Just silence. Claire didn't ask for alimony. She could have. I didn't contest the custody. I had no fight left in me. The only thing I asked was for updates on the girls, birthday pictures, report cards, a glimpse into the lives I used to be a part of. She agreed, even though she had every right to cut me off completely. That's the kind of woman she is. As for Tanya, she became just another roommate who happened to be my child's mother. And even that didn't last. I kept telling myself, at least you have your son. At least something good came from this mess. But even that started to feel hollow. I was clinging to Liam like a lifeline, not just because I love him, but because I needed something to justify what I'd done. If I didn't have him, then what was all this for? The pain, the destruction, the betrayal. Now, 2 years later, Tanya is barely present. The relationship is a ghost of what it once was, if it ever really existed. We argue constantly. She throws my failures in my face. And the truth, she's not a good mother. She leaves Liam with me for days on end, disappears without notice, and picks fights for no reason. I want to leave. God knows I do. But I'm scared. Scared she'll fight me for custody out of spite. Scared my son will suffer even more. I've already lost 4 kids. Can't lose another. People ask me why I'm still in this relationship. The truth is, I'm not sure I am. Not really. I stay because I don't want my son in the care of someone who views him as a ticket that didn't pay out. And yeah, maybe because I'm too ashamed to admit I burned my whole life down for nothing. So here I sit, a man who had everything, a wife who loved him, daughters who adored him, a home, a life, and tossed it all away for a fling with a woman who saw dollar signs. I betrayed the people who loved me most. I let them down, and now all I have left is this broken version of a life I once knew. I thought I was chasing freedom. I thought I was chasing happiness, but all I caught was regret. When Tanya walked out, she didn't even pack all her things. She left in the middle of a Wednesday, said she had a family emergency back in her home country, and that she'd be back in a few weeks. That was almost 7 months ago. She never called, never asked about our son Liam. No FaceTime, no birthday message, nothing. And just like that, I became a single father to a toddler whose mother vanished like a shadow. No court papers signed, no custody agreement filed, just a quiet goodbye I never heard. And a baby boy who still calls for her in his sleep. At first, I didn't believe she was really gone. I thought she'd return just as suddenly, demanding money or threatening to take Liam with her. But weeks turned into months, and it became clear she wasn't coming back. In some twisted way, it was a relief. I didn't have to walk on eggshells anymore. I didn't have to pretend we were a couple. I could breathe again. But the reality of what I had done, that never left me. The silence in our apartment wasn't just physical, it was emotional. I had one child with me, and for who treated me like a ghost. And to be honest, I deserved it. It had been over 2 years since I destroyed our family. And despite my efforts to respect boundaries, to give them space, and to stay connected, however. I could. Nothing changed. My daughters refused to see me, talk to me, or acknowledge I even existed. I'd always believed I was a good dad, maybe not a great husband, but when it came to my girls, I showed up. School events, dance recitals, dentist appointments, you name it. I cooked their meals, combed out tangles, sat through hours of animated movies just because it made them happy. I thought love would be enough, but betrayal has a way of cutting deeper than love can ever heal. Claire was fair. Even after everything, she kept me updated. She'd send the occasional school picture, report card, or message from a teacher. She never tried to poison them against me, at least not intentionally. She didn't need to. The pain I caused did that, all on its own. Then, 2 weeks after Tanya disappeared, I got an envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside was a handwritten letter from all 4 of my daughters. It started with, "We are not your daughters anymore." That single sentence hit me like a freight train. I sat on the couch in our small living room, Liam napping in the next room, and read every word with shaking hands. They told me how disgusted they were, how betrayed they felt, how I'd ruined their idea of family, how they couldn't understand, how someone who taught them to be kind, loyal, and honest could do the exact opposite. The part that gutted me most was from Haley, my eldest. She wrote, "You always said I was your favorite girl in the world, that no boy would ever be more special than me. But now you have a son, a boy, and suddenly I'm forgotten. You got the son you always wanted, and now we don't matter." That crushed me. I never cared about having a son. Not once. I cherished being a girl dad, loved every minute of it. I painted nails, braided hair, played tea party. Didn't need a boy to feel complete. But Haley, she believed otherwise. She thought Liam had replaced her. It was irrational. But emotions aren't rational. And I wasn't in a position to argue. I'd done the unthinkable. I tore apart the one thing that held us together. Trust. The letter ended with a final message. Don't tell him about us. We are not his sisters. We are not part of your new family. Move on, just like we have. They even enclosed photos of Claire's recent wedding. I didn't even know she was seeing someone seriously. Turns out she married a family friend, someone who had been around for years. He was in the pictures, arm around my daughters, smiling like he'd always been their dad, and maybe, in some ways, he had. I won't lie, seeing those photos hurt more than I expected. Not because I was jealous. Claire deserved to move on. She deserved happiness. But it was the fact that there was now a man in my daughters' lives who had filled the hole I left behind, and apparently done a much better job. They said they didn't need me, that he was their father now. That's when the guilt turned into grief, because it was finally real. They weren't just angry anymore. They weren't waiting for me to fix it. They had grieved me like a death. I was gone too. They buried the version of me that tucked them in, sang silly songs, cheered on the sidelines. I was the man who had it all and gave it away. Now all I have is Liam, my little boy who didn't ask to be born into this mess. He wakes up every morning calling for me. He clings to my leg when I make breakfast. He smiles with his whole face when I come back from the grocery store. He doesn't know who his mom is. He might never. So I pour everything I have left into being his dad. I read every parenting book. I put him in playgroups. I take him to the park, even when I'm tired. I do all the things I used to do for my daughters, hoping maybe this time I can get it right. But there's an ache that never leaves, a question. I keep circling back to, was it worth it? And the answer is always the same. No, not even close. There's no thrill. No affair. No fantasy that could justify what I lost. If I could go back, I'd shake my past self and scream, don't do it. It's not worth the price. But time doesn't work that way. Regret is a clock that never stops ticking. People online sometimes say, well, at least you have your son. And yes, I'm grateful. I love him. But that doesn't undo the damage. It doesn't bring back the 4 girls who once called me daddy. And sometimes, when Liam is asleep and the apartment is quiet, I look at his little face and Wonder what kind of story I'll have to tell him one day. About who I was. About who his mother was. About the sisters he'll probably never meet. I imagine one day, when he's old enough, he'll ask, "Why don't I have a mom? Why don't I know my sisters?" I'll have to tell the truth. Was selfish. I made bad choices. People got hurt. I hope one day my daughters will reach out, maybe when they're older, maybe when they have families of their own, maybe never. I don't expect forgiveness anymore. I just hope they know I never stopped loving them in the meantime. I'll keep being the best father I can be to Liam, because if there's one thing I learned too late, it's that being present isn't enough. You have to be faithful, honest, worthy of the love you receive, because once you lose it, there's no guarantee it'll come back. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to follow and subscribe for more of these stories. We have also handpicked 2 more stories that we believe you will enjoy watching. Enjoy.